All right, so this is something I've been looking at for a while now is the stock of Tesla, and we can see that it's dropped quite a bit recently. It was at maybe 850 20 days ago, and now it's at 670. A lot of people think this is just a temporary drop and that it's going to rebound, but I personally don't. And I found this Tesla daily guy kind of by accident. He seems like a decent guy, but I just look at these comments and I can't believe how stupid people are. Um, and this is just purely based like on investing. This is not personal. It's just, why would you buy this stock? It's in free fall. Let's go back to that stock. It's in free fall. It's dropped considerably in just a matter of days. And the company isn't doing anything to make itself more valuable. They recently bought Bitcoin, which was a terrible idea. I don't know why he would do that. It peaked at 60-ish. It's now down to 47. I think that's going to really bite them in the ass long term. The problem with Bitcoin is people see it as a inflation hedge or a way to, more or less protect against inflation or maybe devaluing of currencies, etc. The problem is Bitcoin doesn't do anything different than regular fiat currency. The only difference being is people actually want to buy this, and there's a huge demand for it. You can't really buy money. I don't know how to explain that exactly, but there's hype and there's interest in this, and that's kind of all of it is. All it is. It's supposed to replace fiat, or people see it as an alternative. It's not legal tender in a lot of countries. I know where I live, it's not legal tender, so you can't use it to buy things, and it doesn't have any real value because it's not used for anything. So it doesn't do anything different than fiat money. So the big complaint is fiat money is pointless. It doesn't represent anything, or it's not backed by anything of real value. Neither is Bitcoin. So when when Elon decided to put that as part of his balance sheet for Tesla, that was really dumb because it's a very volatile, we'll call it a commodity, and it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. It's in free fall. And let's just look at this chart here. This article came out in December of 2020, so it's fairly recent, and it's just comparing the market cap of Tesla to basically everything else. And you can see it literally doesn't make any sense. Like, Tesla makes a fraction of what its competitors do, yet it is valued at as much as Toyota, Volkswagen, Daimler, all those companies. It blows me away. I don't understand. And I can see people saying it's about the batteries, it's about whatever, it's about the technology. But the problem is Musk himself, in my opinion, he is a fraud because everything he's talked about the fact that short selling should be restricted, except for that's how his stock went up in value so much originally, was in part due to a short squeeze. Um, So I don't understand him. He's also tweeting about things like Dogecoin and Bitcoin, and people are going to lose a lot of money. Like, they're going to lose a shit ton of money because they're following a guy who, he's an innovator. He's developed a lot of new concepts. He was the pioneer of electric cars, you could call it that, but he's not a businessman. And people forget that, he was kicked off PayPal for a reason, and people can argue whatever they want, but at the end of the day is he's an innovator, he's not a businessman, and that is very clear. And as an investor, that should be something you think about when you're buying Tesla stock. um, Another thing too is Michael Burry. This came out a month ago, I guess, almost 2 months ago now. Yeah, and exactly, enjoy it while it lasts. Tesla stock will free fall. I think it will go to maybe $100 in a year. Um, they have too much competition. Rivian, which is backed by Ford and Amazon, I believe, they're going to have an IPO this year. You're looking in a couple years from now, Tesla's going to have very fierce competition. And the difference is Tesla is not able to service and adequately distribute its vehicles. It's had multiple production problems throughout the years. Ford at least has dealerships. They have a servicing base. They have, you can actually get your car looked at. I see this as a much more compelling investment. And honestly, the Rivian truck looks better than the Cybertruck. Cybertruck does look cool. The Rivian one looks cooler. But also, who's buying these? Like, this is the thing people are forgetting. With Tesla, the people who are buying them, it's not like your average investor. You're at like I've seen posts where average Tesla investors go, "Yeah, I'm never going to buy the car, but I love the stock." So that should be a telltale sign that this is a disaster waiting to happen. If your own shareholders aren't willing to buy what the company is selling because they don't think it's, for whatever reason, to me that is concerning. If I bought a stock in if I bought a Rivian stock, I would go, yeah, you know what? I would consider buying a Rivian, all things considered, if I had the money. Some people buying Tesla would never even own a Tesla, even if they could afford it. So to me, it just I don't get that. But back to Michael Burry, Big Short, predicted the housing market crash. No one else believed him, and he said, yeah. At this point, I think his short was actually bad because I think he bought it in at like 700, I think, or 705, and went up to 800. So he was doing pretty bad, but obviously now he's laughing. Like this has happened before. Um, Yeah, Tesla's story will ultimately end poorly. I 100% believe that. And right now, I believe the best thing to do is get out of tech stocks, get into oil. And I'll touch on this later. But the ironic thing with oil, and even comparing it to uh, marijuana stocks, is if you own an oil stock, oil companies are going to be focused on buying back shares, increasing enterprise value, and they're going to try to increase their cash flows. A lot of these other sectors right now are just speculative. Like Tesla doesn't generate, if you take out their carbon credits that they sold, they would actually have not made any money this year. They would have been in the hole. So that is something people don't realize. And with companies like, I know I talked about Fire and Flower earlier, and the prices recently shot up to $1.50, I want to say, and it's since come down to about $1.30. But that stock is going to get diluted for the next 2 years because of Couche-Tard's investment. So their next warrants are going to come up for 93 cents, I believe, 93 cents, and so that's going to be about 10 million shares ish, if I recall correctly. So they're going to basically issue more shares at that price, or they're going to buy in at that price. So why would it go above that? I don't understand that part of it. So I think that stock's going to come down, and many others. Uh, I'm part of. I do that Investopedia trading thing, and a lot of people they're invested in the Churchill Capitals and the Afrias and the Aurora Cannabises of the world, but those stocks aren't necessarily great, and it's definitely not something you just go into without understanding what you're buying. Um, so I just think a lot of people are uneducated in what they're doing, and this will end very poorly for a lot of them. The same thing Burry is saying. They're buying companies that have no fundamentals, and we're going into a period in time where inflation will start to catch up. Bond yields are going to go up. The appeal in tech is not going to be there anymore. We're going to have a huge oil boom, and Goldman's predicting 70 Brent by quarter 2 and 75 by quarter 3. So that should really tell you where the economy's headed. How many people can afford a Tesla coming out of basically a recession? Pretty much no one. People are going to have to pay their bills. They're going to have to do whatever. The average cost of a Tesla is significantly higher than the average cost of a regular vehicle. So this is not something it's a novelty, but it's not a good novelty because it's not something that will hold its value long term. Also, if you buy a Tesla, every 7 years or so, the battery loses its efficiency. And I know they claim they have the 1 million mile battery, etc. But the stats show about 7 years it loses a majority of its effectiveness. And especially in colder climates where I live, it's totally useless. Like you can't use it in the winter. There was, I believe it was last year, 2 years ago, there was some Tesla drivers were getting 50% the range that was advertised. And like Burry says, 60 billion increase in market cap alone. There is no reason for this. Honestly, it comes down to people who have too much money right now and nothing else to do. They're throwing money at things that they don't understand, and it will end very poorly for a lot of people. I can't be the only person who's realized this, but I really believe that there's going to be a lot of pain coming, and it's going to be like some people will not be able to recover, others will. And people who are buying Tesla, they'll say, ah, the dips are, there was one over here. I can't believe where it is. Can't remember exactly. Yeah, time to go shop. Like, are you stupid? Like, your stock is in free fall and you're thinking about buying more. This isn't like it's a 4% dip. This is like it's dropped 30, like, no, I mean, not 30%, but 12%. Like, that's ridiculous. That's a lot. And it's already gone up way past it should have. Got to sell my car to buy more. Like, that's a joke, but still, that's the, yeah, I, I don't get it. Got to find one about the dips. But point being is, I just don't, I don't get it. People say, they were talking like, only own this stock if you're going to own it for the next 10 years. Well, there's better opportunity the next 10 years to make more money. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you own a stock that maybe has a price target of 3,000 in 10 years? You know, that is like a far stretch. And a one that I saw more recently is 1,000. But really, you're talking about $1,000 price target. You know, there's better stocks out there. And this will continue to free fall. It will continue to go down. Um, it's gone up recently since we've been talking. It might go up back up to 700 something, maybe even 800. It's just it's so overvalued to the point where it no longer makes it. It doesn't make any sense. There's no logic whatsoever in what is happening, and I believe ultimately there will be an end to Tesla, and it will end back out where it started, probably $100 ish. That's my prediction. All right. Well, thanks for listening. In terms of oil, oil's looking good. Oh, oil's looking good. 61, 64. Selects are almost at 50, so we're in the money park now. It's the end game. We're doing well. You know, if we can keep this up for a year, we'll be laughing. All right. Thanks for listening.